Welcome, friends, back to the Pixel Boss Podcast, first episode of 2023, a hub and synergy to onboard Web 2 to Web 3 and Web 2.5 audio experience. I'm joined by my co-host, Ivan Gomez.
G'day, mate. How you doing?
GM, Ivan. And we have Scott and Kanji from Experience Online.
Hello.
Thank you for having us.
Developing a platform to help creators earn, but also earn to create. And today's podcast is going to be around Metaverse. It's going to be around creatives and how they can earn in this new social economy through Web3, but also what actually is a Metaverse, why are you guys integrating NFTs, and what the specific niche is that you guys want to dive down. Now, let's start off with the most basic question. You guys have been asked this 1,000 times on Spaces.
I'm going to jump in before you keep going. The thing that we're going to do as well is have a really healthy conversation to unpack what's good about what's happening, but also really call out some evils because you guys are really, you're building at a time where most people have given up. And I think we could really show some battle scars to people that are also building. Because a lot of people give up not knowing that it was the next step that would have made them successful. So I want to be able to create an environment at Pixel Boss with anyone that we collaborate with to go, hey, we're building together and we're in it together. And it's not through what we say, it's through what we do. So I want to make sure that you guys are aware of that's where I'm coming at it from.
Love it. That's exactly what it is. And like jumping in as well, like everyone, like you said, given up over the last, the bear run and everything like that, like that's the best time to build. That's the best time to actually create and actually stick to what you want to do rather than like, the market's down, we're not going to be able to do this, just give up. And like you're just before that diamond, you know what I mean? That tunneling, like you get into that diamond and you're just like, nah, I'm going to give up now. So that's one of our biggest traits, I think, at Experience. Like we've stuck to our guns because we know what we're doing and we love what we're doing as well. So
cool.
Well, I've got 1,000 questions around the Metaverse, and I want to take this from the two ends. From the first half being for people that are new to this space, to the Metaverse, to this new social economy, what that is looking like for the future, but also the depths of what you guys are doing in terms of tokenomics, what you guys are doing in terms of VR experience, because there are people in the space that they're pretty well knowledgeable and they're going to be listening to this to get that extra step of, I want to get a new perspective. And also the front end of the newbies, people that are fresh and they're saying, why should I even jump into this Metaverse thing? Why is there a storyline around it? So jump in. How do you guys explain the Metaverse to your Web 2 friends, to your normal friends?
Yeah, I'll chime in, man. So if you look at the Metaverse, right, it's kind of like this experience. It's like, we all have a different name. We all have a different identity, and we jump into this experience when we wake up in the morning. So if you look at the Metaverse in that sense, it's like you jump into a virtual world. Like you can look at Roblox, you can look at Fortnite. There are also different types of Metaverses, right? And as you move through reality or virtual reality, you start experiencing different things. So like you experience, go get a glass of water, I can ride a bike, I can go jump on a podcast, all of that is very similar. And one thing that I've seen, and obviously through experience and presence and building things and to make it easy for everyone to realize is like, what we're doing right now is exactly what you're doing in the Metaverse too. So like you can translate what you're doing physically to digital, right? And that's the, NFTs, digital collectibles, they're all the gateway to that. So like you can see like all these different digital artworks, collections, they're all tagged to something digital. And that's where blockchain and Web3 technology come in. So that's what I would say to anyone who wants to get into the Metaverse. And obviously there will be some fear, like, fear is a concept of the mind, right? There will be some sort of fear or some sort of limitation or some sort of like adaptation, because like, as you can see, not many people are privy to it. But it takes a level of awareness. As long as we start educating people within Web 2 and move them to Web 3, we start seeing more people adopt that. More people adopting the Metaverse. And
I think, I think Web 2, Web 3 kind of is beside the point to me, because there's a lot of people that are in Web 3 that have fuck all idea about the Metaverse. So I think it's really important from my perspective is to understand what part of the Metaverse ecosystem you are interested in, or understand what industries are important to you and how you can take advantage of the technology. Because I can have my 12-year-old daughter going, I love Roblox, and I can have mates that are in gaming and do gaming, but I also have friends in health that are using the technology to change the world. So there's a really important play there to people to understand that don't read the headlines, understand the tech and how you can leverage that tech. That's just my perspective on that.
I'd love to dive a bit deeper on that tech that you guys are leveraging and for what particular reason for the audience and the person listening, because they're going to have a bit of a different understanding because they might be in health. But you guys are going down a particular niche and path into the metaverse. Can you describe what that looks like and why you guys decided to choose that out of everything that was available and is available?
Yeah, definitely. So I think one of the biggest things that we're going to leverage is on that health topic as well. You know what I mean? But not just health, but self-development as a whole. That's where we come from. That's what our bread and butter is as co-founders of Experience, right? So really allowing our users to jump into a hyper-realistic world that actually changes your vibration, changes the way that you feel when you jump into these worlds. You know what I mean? So giving people an experience that is unforgettable, hence experience online and experience, but really giving people that power to jump into a place, jump into a world that they might have never experienced anything like that, right? Hyper realistic, things that you wouldn't see out here, you know what I mean? Like different colors, different things, and being able to actually bring in what you have outside, NFTs, all those different things, bring them into the world so you can create a space of your own. You know what I mean? People are so scared of, you know, the metaverse, and they think of like Ready Player One and what it's going to be like and like how that can sort of show up like that. But if we educate and we actually use it for good, there's always going to be bad. There's always going to be the people that take advantage of it. So why not be the creators of something that can give people an experience that's going to change the way that they see themselves, change the way that they see the world, change the way that they actually experience with the world as well. Because once they jump into these worlds with experience, they'll be able to jump out and be like, holy, like I actually feel different. You know what I mean? And then what we're doing with the whole content side of things is you'll be able to experience content in the metaverse in a completely different way to what you experience it now.
If I was to buy your product in a big shiny box, think of your product as a new iPad in the box. What am I going to see on the front? What am I seeing on the back?
Well, look, there's a couple of different ways because that sort of metaverse experience is going to be further down the track for us because the technology that we want to build on is still not readily available. You know, the technology that's out there with VR and everything like that now, you don't have that ability to give a hyper-realistic experience. But we're already in contact with people that are building those things and having those experiences already. So what it would look like, you know, it might even be our own smart glasses, you know what I mean? That's Experience, for example, you'd be able to put on these smart glasses and then jump into our metaverse. So metaverse is not just the one big metaverse, there's many metaverses out there. You know, there's not just one place where everyone jumps into one space and it's like, okay, cool, I'm in a different world. It's like everyone can create their own metaverse. It's not a one-stop place, you know? So with experiences, metaverse and different sort of experiences, maybe you've got a smart glass, maybe you've got that iPad box in front of you, you've got the smart glasses in front of you, put it on and you can jump into our worlds. And if you're coming from an experienced user from previously where we've got our content hosting platform, which you can get into, then you can just log in with your account. You've got all your details, you've got all your earnings, everything like that. All of that will be integrated into your actual, you know, another sort of experience.
From a technical side, there are multiple metaverses being built at the moment. Like you just mentioned, Roblox, Fortnite. How do you think these will all talk to each other?
That's the thing with interoperability. Like just with like PlayStation and Xbox, right? Like there will be a point where there be that convergence. And again, that has to be some sort of catalyst, right? If there's no catalyst, like you're gonna just still have those metaverses doing their own thing. And that's the thing is like, you know, what we're doing with Experience and what everyone's doing in Web3 is like, there's always a purpose to something. There's always like a natural evolution of humanity in a sense. And you can say technology is going down that way as well. So technology is nature. You know, the iPhone, for example, was discovered way back, right? In a sense, because it was made out of glass, like glass is there and glass wasn't discovered, but sand was there, right? So if you look at everything, it wasn't discovered at that moment because they haven't gone through certain processes. So exactly the same with what you're talking about, Daniel. It's like, with anything to do with metaverses and interoperability, there's got to be a convergence and there's got to be a catalyst that comes into one point at one contact, and that will happen in time.
Not to go too far, but the topic of singularity in AI. What's your hot take on that?
Oh man, I'm having fun with ChatGPT.
And describe what it is.
Yeah, so I'm having fun with ChatGPT, and with all other AIs and artificial intelligence, it's like they're all run by certain algorithms, right? So you've got certain algorithms that play in Instagram, you've got certain algorithms for YouTube, you got certain algorithms for like Facebook, and you know, all these algorithms are out there. I would say that it's just an extension of the algorithm that you are, because if you look at yourself, you're also a source algorithm, but those algorithms cannot beat the source algorithm. It's like there's always a law that's at play. There's always nature that's at play. And these functions or these algorithms actually aid, you know, what it is that you can do. So they're just more focused. So if I want to type something on ChatGPT, and I've leveraged that for my own content, right? Is that I can type up something and 10 prompts will come up and I can use that as content. Like in the moment when, let's say I have like a mind blank or anything like that, I can just be like, okay, cool, type that in and it just spits it out. I press a button, spits out the algorithm. But it's the same thing with what you do in life. It's like you can feel scarce. You press the scarce button and an algorithm, a scarce experience happens in whatever you see. If you press abundance and there's an abundance algorithm that happens, you press that, an algorithm happens in that sense as well. So if you look at AI, if you look at singularity, again, it's just an extension of what it is that we truly are.
So it definitely sounds like you guys are personal development driven. Before Web3, what was the dive and drive to then move into Web3? What were you guys doing day to day, and how did you shift that focus?
Well, yeah,
how did you change the algorithm?
100%. You know, I mean, before I sort of changed my algorithm there, I was, you know, just working a normal 9 to 5, working at the bank, you know, working my way up the corporate ladder. But when you get hit with a place of seeing yourself on a deeper level, when you go into yourself rather than looking outside of yourself, and you start to shift internally, and then everything outside you starts to shift, you can't go back. You actually can't go back. You can't forget what you've seen. That's the biggest thing. So we've all jumped into a space where we invested into our own personal development, our own self-development over many years. You know, mine probably started in 2017, and then just a couple different things just kept popping up for me, and just meeting the right people, and then eventually becoming a coach and a life coach or a mindset coach and helping other people, because once I went through that experience, I just wanted to give that back. And same with Kanji, you know what I mean? A business coach and everything like that, and has his own group and like coaching group and things like that. And so we wanted to give that same experience of that coaching experience and showing people what they can actually do in life on a wider scale. So really coming from that personal development space is really why the self-development focus is what experience is from the get-go, and then moving that through and then eventually moving into all types of content. But why not self-development be the catalyst for us? That's what we breathe every day. That's what we do every day. And we're constantly focused on that as well in our lives. We're not, you know, like I said, once you see it, you can't unsee it. So once you're in it,
well, it's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle. And then you start to incorporate that into your life more and more every day. And so
just like Ivan with the gym, right? Or drinking wine. Oh, sorry.
So yeah, that's exactly it, man. Like it's that personal development, self-development space is our bread and butter now. You know what I mean? We're breathing that every day for the last 3, 4, 5 years, you know, and the rest of our team, the rest of the co-founders are in the exact same space. So when it comes to revolutionizing self-development, which is where we started with experience, it's all starting to make sense, you know, as we keep moving down the path. So
what does that look like? Okay, on a platform, I enter it. I'm really into personal development, but I'm also like I'm a new gen essentially, because that's the audience I feel like you guys will be targeting, a new generation that's able to understand the technology. It's not too frictionful. What's that going to look like, and why do they use the tech instead of jumping on a Zoom call?
Yeah.
And what's the major point of difference for them jumping on a Zoom call with Kanji compared to using your platform, and what are the benefits from that?
So when we focus on like the sort of Web 2 side of it when we start, I don't know if you want me to focus on that Web 2 side or the Web 3 side eventually.
I want you to focus on explaining it to a normal person.
Okay, cool. So what it's going to look like is, what, you know,
That's me.
Let's
imagine you're explaining it to Ivan.
This is what it's going to be. When you go on Netflix, when you go on YouTube, when you go on any sort of streaming website and you're watching something, your attention is getting siphoned out of you, right? You're spending your time watching this. You're like, okay, you spend 2 hours, 3 hours watching a TV show, 5 hours. What do you get back in return? Pretty much nothing. You know what I mean? Especially if you're watching some reality TV show or something like that. Like you might get a little bit of enjoyment out of it. But
Love Island or something.
you know, Love Island, you know, it's too hot to handle, whatever it is. So like, you don't get anything in return, and that's one of the biggest things that we saw in this sort of, even with social media, you know, this constant mindlessly scrolling through social media, hours on end, you know, TikTok, Instagram, all that stuff. So the understanding and the real drive that we wanted to change was, why not mindfully scroll? Why not be able to actually earn something from your attention online? That's where we started with this. That's why we had that Web3 element and that blockchain technology to actually be like, okay, how can we make our users earn while self-developing? So then on the content side of things with our platform, we're going to have all these content creators on our platform that actually come on and are doing the same thing on Instagram, Facebook, all those places. But, you know, with YouTube, for example, how many views do you need to get before you start making money?
So what's the creators' incentive to jump in? So we have a new movement right now where a lot of decentralized platforms are coming out. Deso, Rumble, Andrew Tate moving to Rumble, massive other creators that have been cancelled moved to Rumble. Why would they go to Rumble and compared to Experience?
You know what, Kanji, biggest creator here, I'm gonna let you do that.
Sweet, bro. So if you look at all different platforms, it's like monetization is quite like you call it a scarce thing, because I have to go through Facebook to monetize, I have to go through, you know, Twitch to monetize, I have to go through TikTok to monetize. They're all different platforms to monetize. But the point of difference is presence, right? As a flagship app and D app that we've got going on, is that it's just a one-stop shop. So all those other platforms, like if you want to leverage them, sweet. But like in this platform, you're essentially getting that reward straight away, right? You know, obviously there's content that you have to put out there, and you love content, you love putting things out there. But at the same time, your audience can earn it too, right? And that's what doesn't happen in current Web2, you know, social media platforms. Is like there's a very minimal amount where you're rewarding your audience. And imagine, you know, your audience jumping on, and let's say you're following for Andrew Tate, for example, right? He's got like, you know, how many people following him, for example. You start seeing them start earn. Obviously, they're going to flock to this new platform. They're obviously going to see things differently. And that's where I feel, especially with the evolution of social networks, right, and social media platforms, that's where things are moving, right? And that's what we're sort of, I say pioneering, right? Here at Experience and Presence as well.
So if you guys,
the one-stop shop.
So if this new wave is coming for consumers to earn, to still do what they're doing on TikTok, on YouTube, on Twitch, you're providing them an opportunity to earn whilst they hit their dopamine strikes.
I'll add something else as well, bro.
Jump in.
Yeah. So like, even though there's that dopamine, right? We don't, you know, obviously instant gratification is what we're trying.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm leaning towards.
We're trying to target that, because obviously when you're scrolling, right, there's a fact and there's a stat out there that like 8 seconds, right? 8 seconds is your attention span. Like an average human attention span is 8 seconds. That's less than a goldfish. You know how crazy that is, right? So these platforms are constantly harvesting attention like that. We're delaying that in the sense that you got to earn, right, to watch the video fully, to have different measures where you're putting content out there, and through that content, obviously, you know, you stake certain amount, or obviously the NFT mechanics were still, you know, going through that whole process. But at the same time, right now on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram, you don't own your social media platform. Like you don't own your profile.
Yeah.
Your profile can get taken away straight away. And that's the gift of, you know, decentralization and blockchains.
I think in the instant gratification thing as well, like the real difference is, you know, all these other platforms are, you know, harvesting your attention and giving you that instant gratification hit, where our product and our app is really promoting that delayed gratification system. By, if you were to take out the money that you earn straight away, you're not going to actually earn much. You actually might even go down in a downward spiral. But if you keep your earnings in the platform and you allow yourself to actually keep going and keep going, then you start to get this exponential curve in your earnings as well. And that's where the NFTs come into place. That's where we wanted to give that ability to craft your own NFT so that you can actually earn more per view, for example.
So essentially a compounding interest through staking mechanism.
Exactly. So really promoting that delayed gratification mindset rather than this instant gratification of mindlessly scrolling. That's where we sort of had that.
So
fully
playing devil's advocate,
please.
I create a bot that scrolls automatically for me. How are you guys managing that?
This is the thing, man. There's always going to be that. There's always going to be some sort of bot. There's always going to be some sort of person that's going to be that try to cheat the system, right? We can't avoid that. The more we try to avoid that and we try to, there'll be measures in place that we can avoid certain things like that, to avoid bots and to avoid people just watching, you know what I mean? If it's a 30-minute video, obviously people can just press play and not watch it. But at the end of the day, that person's the only one that's losing out on that.
So where's the revenue come from?
So revenue is going to be a couple of different things. We're actually working on the revenue streams right now. So subscription-based model, we were going to do a pay-per-view model before. We were going to have land spaces for the creators before as well, but we've changed that sort of mentality and sort of made it a little bit more simple so that people are more enticed to come on board. So we've got that sort of subscription model. We've got the NFT sort of, the sale as well for the NFTs when we do that as well. And we're sort of reworking a couple of other ways, which I can't give you the exact details right now because we're actually in that process of reworking that. So previously when it was Experience, the app, we knew exactly where the revenue streams were, but that's changed now. We went from that pay-per-view model where each user would have to pay for each video that they watch, but they end straight away. So that same smart contract, they're going to get that in return. And then as the orbs were going to be that sort of passive income, then we've got to rework that as well, So it's just reworking it in a way that allows our users, our Web2 users especially, to not be freaked out by like, okay, where's all this Web3 block tokens, all this stuff. We wanted to hold their hand through that sort of Web2 to Web3. So making it quite Web2 looking in the first part.
Keep it hidden in the back end.
Exactly. They don't need to know, have like Sweatcoin, for example. They've got the wallet in there. They've had that sort of move to earn understanding, right? But you don't need to know too much about crypto to, you know what I mean? You don't need to know too much about blockchain technology to.
Take me through where you guys are at and what the roadmap looks like in the next 3 months for you.
Yeah, so currently we're just revamping our pitch deck. So we're going to go for our first round of funding in 30 days. So we're working with some advisors at the moment. And once we were at that stage just after CryptoCon, but obviously with what happened with FTX and Binance, right? We were like, why not we just go back and, build our foundation, solidify their foundation. Based on that as well, I would say reshifted. Before it was Experience Online, now it's Present. So currently we're at the stage where
Complete rebrand.
No. So Experience will be the chain, right? So Experience would be it's bigger than what it was. So Experience would be the chain and the innovative agency that brings all these dApps and these solutions out there. Presence will be the flagship thing now. And that's where we are at the moment. So we're going for our first round of funding. At the same time, we're reaching out to creators and getting them on board and finding out working with different roles and different ways where we can incentivize creators to bring their audience on board. And at the same time, just brand awareness. Like I pretty much post every day for the social media page. And one thing that I've learned and gone through the whole process is just you're creating things. And you're creating things all the time and you're having fun with it. And at the same time, it's like, sometimes people will get so demotivated by it, right? So, as a creator, it's so beautiful to be able to give them a pathway, right? So that they can start seeing things and seeing the bigger picture.
And again, if I'm just looking at the headlines, it's kind of saying, come and earn money on our platform. But if we want to look at who's your target audience, what sectors do you want to, if you want to get famous for owning a couple of categories, what are those categories?
Yeah, I would say creators is number one. Obviously, the focus on self-development creators will be that first sort of thing. And then obviously that sort of younger generation will be the ones because they're the ones that are glued to their phones at the moment. You know what I mean? So that let's say 18 to 25 and even obviously above that as well. But people that are constantly watching content on social media, on all these platforms, those are the target market. Yeah. Because those are the people that need our platform. Those are the people that can actually utilize our platform and grow themselves, grow to earn. That was sort of our like catchphrase for a while because you're actually developing yourself, you're watching this content, and you're earning at the same time.
Yeah, but for people that don't know your product,
Yeah.
like, I mean, is it people that aspire to be chefs or fitness or mental health? What are because you could end up with a bunch of people like, that go viral, that are just publishing rubbish. They're not your market, I'm guessing.
No. So I'll simplify it, man. So Presence is the first tokenized human development platform. The two target audience are people in self-development. So anyone wants to earn through self-development or personal development. People watch Tony Robbins, Gary Vee, etc. And obviously different genres from that. And then the second one would be anyone that's a millennial, right? So a millennial in the sense that they've just shifted and they're starting to know what Web 2, Web 3 is in blockchain technology. And people who are adopting, the NFTs and buying NFTs and bringing that to the masses. So I would say that those two are the main target audience that we have.
Cool.
For Presence.
No, that makes perfect sense. But I kind of was missing that piece in this conversation. So I really want to lean into where you're at and if there is someone out there that wants to collaborate with you or that is interested in investing, like getting that across is important. So when you are looking at sort of your next round of in your raise, where down the funnel are you at that? When's that kick off? When are you going to have something to share with people?
Yeah, so after that first round of funding, once we get through this next sort of rework, we're working with two different advisory companies, reworking the tokenomics, doing the pitch deck again. All these things have been done already. So it's not about starting from scratch or anything like that. All our wireframes are done for the app and everything like that. So it's just the slight rebranding from experience to presence. Once that's all done, we go through our seed round, we've got our SaaS ready and everything like that. We'll start the app development, we'll start the smart contract development. We've already got our Web3 team working on that as well. Advisory on our board as well. So smart contract development, app development, non-functional prototype might be in there as well. And then we'll start putting that out to a beta testing group as well.
Have you considered working with education bodies?
We've thought about it, but at the same time, what we're doing is, it is education and there is a space for that, but we're also different at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think you're the future and they're the past. So I'm thinking, is there a way to bridge something? Because they're not idiots. I mean, they know they've got the world's changed and it's not going back. So I think, and I've been working in education for 15 years and I've recently done a bunch of work with people that have not touched a classroom, but they still speak really highly of the experience that they've had, but it's all been remote learning or doing a course in industry in association with being associated to a campus. So I don't know. I'm not saying I've got the answer, but I certainly think there's a really beautiful opportunity there.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, man, and it's we're quite open to collaborating as well. It's like there's no stone that's unturned, right? So you just got to turn that stone and see what happens. So I feel like there is a bunch of opportunities and different ways to collaborate with people who are yet to experience what we're experiencing, but to also educate and hold their hand through that whole process too. So
yeah,
I appreciate the suggestion.
Yeah, and there is obviously a huge element of education part of the app as well. So you're right. It's just about finding those people now as well. But as we continue to build our brand, the things always come to us as well. As we keep putting ourselves out there and we keep walking down this path, we found that the right people come along every time. It's not that we sit there and wait for it because we keep building, but we've noticed that if it's an education sector that we're going to get into, maybe we put these headsets into schools and give them the ability to do this for an hour every day, whatever it is, there's all these different opportunities that are there, but we sort of know as a team, as a co-founding team, that those things will come when they need to. So the suggestion, you saying it right now is perfect for us. You know what I mean? You putting that into our awareness is like, okay, cool. Why haven't we looked at the education sector, even though we have? Why hasn't it been a thing for us right now?
On the spectrum of creation, what are you guys leaning more towards? Is it more TikTok Reel style, YouTube style, or Twitter? Because it's hard to encompass it all. No one can. I mean, look at
exactly.
Twitter and Mr. Beast coming on and saying, hey, maybe we should make this the creatives platform.
Yeah.
How do you guys interpret that?
So I would say our content on there is not going to be too so there'll be a couple of components. There'll be like a sort of like TikTok sort of Instagram Reel where you can sort of get an understanding of what the videos are going to be like. But the content will be a bit more longer form, I would say. at least a couple of minutes, I would say, because if we're going to be focusing on self-development, there could be a couple of 2-3 minute videos in there, but we also want to have that ability for people to sit in sort of a masterclass setting, but not too long as well. So I would say
15 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes.
I would say 5 to 30 minutes, honestly.
5 to 30.
5 to 30 is sort of our range. Obviously, if there's going to be like a masterclass sort of vibe in there, then maybe they've got a program. Let's say a content creator comes on and creates a five video program, so that might be 2 hours worth of content, but you can earn from each of those things. You know what I mean? So it's in between sort of like long content and really, really short, like, like 1 minute content, because we don't want it to just be like and you know what I mean? You can get that content on YouTube. You can get that content on Instagram as well. So we wanted to give that ability for our content creators to create something that's new as well, because their users are going to earn from it as well. So it's like that. It's slightly, in a sense, more premium almost, but at the same time, they can still put the content that they put on Instagram and just let their users earn from it.
Let's talk on the NFT side. I've seen these 5 different worlds. Explain what that is.
Yeah, so
what are these 5 different worlds, 5 different colors that I've seen as a visual, and explain it for the person listening to?
yeah, so these are called orbs or worlds. You can look at these as certain hashtags or genres. So you've got all 5 of them, right? So there's yellow, obviously abundance; red, devotion; clarity, which is blue; regeneration, which is green; and also intuition, which is purple. But each one represents a different thing. So abundance, obviously, like wealth content, money content. Regen, there's health, PT, food. Devotion, you've got love, relationships. Intuition's about spirituality, meditations. Maybe we do, putting some meditational content in there as well. And then you've also got clarity, which is like mindset, skills. And I remember having a chat with someone in CryptoCon, and they were doing poker content. And this guy, right, he was just complaining to me, like, I always get flagged. I can't even put my videos out there because obviously the guidelines on YouTube and on other social media platforms is you can't have gambling, right? So he's like, I would love to see a platform where I can put my videos out there and not be flagged for it, and there's an opportunity for me to earn there. So these worlds represent genres. But inside these worlds, right, they also have an NFT earning mechanism, where you can stake these, with stake tokens into these worlds, and at the same time you start, earning, a pool of it, and eventually we're moving towards, and obviously that's going to happen as it does, more of like a content funding mechanism. So like if you look at movies, right, like if you choose your favorite movie, like comedy, for example. You can basically stake your tokens or stake the orb, and then whoever's staking money or tokens into the orb, they can use that same fund and proportion it out to the favorite content creators that they want to see movies from. So that's one part of it, right? And obviously that's the foundation and the gem of the platform.
And on the last part, on the orbs as well, like they started from a vibration in our meditation app. So each vibration represented each of these different worlds. So abundance was an 888 frequency, for example. All these different vibrations and frequencies that you play put you into a different state. So they started from there, then they became the worlds that we created, and now we're creating these 3D worlds in this space. So the abundance world has a yellow hue to it and has this, feeling where you feel abundant, you feel like there's money around you, they feel like there's wealth around you. Love and devotion devotion and like love and relationships, there'll be, maybe love hearts flying around. It'll be realistic to an extent, but also that sort of future experience as well. So the orbs have really come through us from the whole start of our platform to right now as well, to the point where it's not just a world, it's not just a genre, it's an earning mechanism as well. So you'd be able to jump in there and actually, okay, cool, if I really love devotion content, for example, I'm going to stake my tokens in there and try to earn more from my devotion content that I watch.
Amazing. Quick question. Have you got a play for sort of brand partnerships as part of the ecosystem?
Yeah, in regards to brand partnerships, so we're open at the moment to any sort of collab. So currently the marketing strategy is that we're jumping onto podcasts. We've got our own podcast as well. I think we're 3 episodes in. And we're just seeing how we could just bring exposure to people, because this is the thing. It's like if there's a platform out there where people can jump on and just see things and move towards the natural evolution of humanity and content, right? You start seeing people start moving in a different way and shifting. So like the content that we normally watch is like obviously drama and stuff, and nothing wrong with that, but it starts to move towards like growth, personal development, having a better lifestyle for yourself. And obviously it is all a lifestyle. So we're open to brand partnerships, collabs, and just all these events as well. I think there's a lot of events that are coming up too. So I think recently we're working with NFT NZ, and we've got to sponsor that, and we're going to do an experience there. So yeah, we're open to whatever's out there.
I mean, so we're more of a VC hat. Like where I was coming at with that is,
Sure.
Again, it's just a really raw idea, and I like just throwing shit against the wall. Sometimes it sticks. But my mind was going, let's use Nike as the example, where you go to Nike with an opportunity, go, hey, these are your top 10 sports. Now you have a masterclass content play and they publish content on your platform. They're promoting Nike, but they're promoting best practice on eating, on training, on all those things. But then you can scale, but then you've got those sort of partnerships. And whether that's run like an OnlyFans and only their fans get to access it, et cetera, et cetera. But I think there's an opportunity from what I'm hearing to go, okay, what does that look like? Say locally, for example, on our committee, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but Swiss is on our committee. And if I turned around to someone like Nick and go, hey, why don't you guys are all about wellness. Why don't you bring 3 of your product ranges on board, your yoga teacher, your brand ambassadors, your mental health, you get where I'm going?
Yeah.
I just think that's probably not what you're talking about. I when I hear what you're doing, how do you create verticals that create additional revenue that give you a really strong foundation? I don't know if that's too wacky, but...
No, it's not. No, it's beautiful, because like that's something, again, we weren't aware about that, and as you're suggesting it, it's like, okay, yeah, there is possibility there, right? With all possibilities, you can walk that way.
100%. And like having those different partnerships and things like that, people that jump onto our platform, collaborate with us in that way. We're at that point right now where we've been building the foundation so much that we haven't really looked outside as much for that. We haven't needed that right now. We're at that point now where we're like, okay, cool. We're putting ourselves out there. We're building the brand now, posting on social media every day, all that stuff, because the foundation is strong now.
Yeah.
So we know what we're doing now. We've known for a while, but really getting to that point now where we're like, okay, cool. We're coming to the point now where, it would be nice to have more partnerships and everything, especially for the VCs, but like, that's just been our path. You know what I mean? That's just been the way that we've created and the way that we've brought this to life in the last 2 years, really. So, all of those different things, and even like you said, having a yoga teacher on there and all those different things, a mental health person, whatever it is, like that's powerful for us. That's actually great for the platform. And like, we're not closed-minded to be like, okay, it has to be our way. We've got that openness to be like, cool, if you're going to be able to benefit and we're going to benefit and our users and our creators are going to benefit, why not? We have that sort of open space where that's the way we operate as a team as well. That's the way we sort of run our lives as well. So it's like that's going to be felt regardless in everything that we do, whether they know it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to add as well, it's like we've just been so into the project, and we've been building inside the project that like, things that are outside of us, we're sort of like, okay, like we sort of come out and being like, oh, we're gonna, go and meet partners and build the brand that way. So it's really cool. Like even being on this podcast and all of that is just there's that awareness, right? To further solidify, not just for the platform, but for the users of the platform. So yeah. I really appreciate your suggestion.
No, for sure. I mean, just as from a more selfish perspective, this conversation and the way we run podcasts is very much about, sharing each other's truths, but then brainstorming and collaborating, because at the end of this, you guys will have a chat offline. I see you guys doing, whether it be a workshop, demo, masterclass here, where you guys, this is, anyone that's in our family, this is your home. And that's what excites me. I'm not going to lie, it's been a nightmare building Pixel Boss Club. It's been scary, but it was always a lost leader. It was about investing in and building. So when we need something, like there's stuff that you guys do that I hadn't thought of. And I'm not going to go build it. I want to fucking team up with you cunts. Like,
And that's the best part about this podcast now and this conversation is we're exactly the same.
yeah,
We're exactly the same. I couldn't have said it better myself. So
without the C word.
without the C word. I could have dropped that in there as well, but
No, don't.
like that's what I mean. Like it's we've got that naturally in us. We're those people in a whole. So like having that space, having this space, having any other space that people are ready to collaborate and ready to do things together, we can lean on you guys as well. You know what I mean? We can utilize you guys for so many different things as well and work together. And that's what experience is, like collaboration, actually giving people power and actually showing people what they can do, you know?
Who are you guys looking forward to collaborating in the Web3 space? So we've talked on some Web2 brands. I haven't mentioned Nike. Nike's got artifacts, so they probably wouldn't. There'd be a bit on edge joining up with you guys.
Yeah.
But Web3 brands, who would be your best bet to connect with?
Kanji can answer that.
I would say anything in the back end, man, like Unreal Engine 5 or because like the worlds that are hyper realistic, right? Like obviously at the moment there's still that gap between what is seemed real and obviously what the engine is capable of. I would say Unreal Engine, and anything to do with the metaverse side of things. So you've got who's the one that was on CryptoCon? I can't remember what the names are.
Illuvium.
Yeah,
TCG.
TCG World. Yeah, TCG World. Well, we had a really good chat with them. Like our founding team had a really good chat with TCG World. And yeah, it's just like who can we look towards now? Because we're still quite early. Everyone's still quite early, right? So
Yeah,
that's what I feel.
yeah.
I don't know about you, Scott.
And like likewise, we're like, we're looking to build on Polygon most likely at the start as well. We're possibly looking at AVAX and things like that. So different chains as well and different ways that we can utilize that. Obviously, we'll have the experience chain as the sort of way where we fork off that and we build our own as well, and then have people jump onto that as well. So people that are sort of focused on, bettering the world and focused on humanity as a whole, they can jump on our chain as well eventually as well. So
Your vision is massive, so it's exciting. It's also daunting. What's your short-term goal, mid?
So I think we've all come as a founding team or a co-founding team to, this isn't a short game for us. Yeah. We've already committed to 10 years, easy. You know what I mean? So like we already know that it's a long game. We've got that big vision and nothing's really going to stop us. You know what I mean? Like we're in that 2-year place where this whole market's going into where it is now. It doesn't phase us. We know what I mean? We know. So short-term goals, obviously, to get presence out there, to get, let's say 1,000 creators on there, 1 million users by the end of the year. Let's say that's the sort of, audacious goal that we have. We don't have any doubt that we can do that, especially if the roadmap goes the way it's meant to go. I'd say medium-term goal is really getting that crowdfunding ability to give people the power to actually show what content they want to watch. So that crowdfunding where, if it's comedy, you put your money into the comedy, and then you have a say, you have a percentage, you have a stake in that pool, right? And then the people get to choose what movie gets made. People get to choose, instead of Universal and Sony and all these different places that have all the say of what you actually watch. So giving people that power to actually, okay, cool, like if I want to see this creator or this movie get made and these people are going to make it, like giving people that power again to like, okay, I have a stake in this. I can actually earn from this because I put in $200 investment to this crowdfunding where it's a $2 billion fund, you know what I mean? Now a $2 billion pool of money that, okay, cool, I'm going to create this movie. So that's sort of the medium-term goal for us as experience as a whole. And then obviously down that pathway, I say a longer-term goal, I would say maybe even 3 to 5 years based on technology and other things that will be in the way, is the metaverse experience. Experiencing content like you've never experienced before, experiencing worlds that you've never experienced before, and changing the way that you actually see yourself and the world. Because we don't want people to it's not about people getting stuck into our worlds all day, every day. It's about going in there, having an experience, having an experience that changes the way that you see everything. And then coming out into the real world and taking those learnings and taking that actual, teachings or whatever it is, whatever you're going through in those worlds, and bringing them out into your real world here. So if it is experiencing content in a 3D aspect compared to just on a screen or on your phone, that's already going to give people the experience. You know, I mean, if we focus on all types of content, which we're going to go to eventually, self-development sort of our catalyst, all different types of content. You know, we can teach people how to build cars in there. We can teach people how to, you know, fix a tire in there, something so simple, but like people don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
You know?
I want to have one more brain fart to dump on you for your consideration. I'm going to use a tire example. So something else to consider is going back to the brand partnership side of it, where now let's pretend it's Ford, and Ford come on board. They go, we're all about tradies. So there's a million opportunities there. Travel, family, camping, all of those topics. So they pick the things that they want to be associated to. And they could almost be a presents partner, or they can host content because they're in the perfect position to sponsor a creator or to support a creator or leverage a creator. But then that way you're not selling ads, because the one thing we all know, everyone hates ads. But I also know from what I've done for 30 years, if you can have a really strong brand integration into an experience, it's applauded. So if you do that well, it opens up a whole new world, and that's your money play.
AKA the credit economy that Mr. Beast is driving and everyone's copying and pasting.
Yeah,
right?
literally.
So do I get equity? For the record, I don't want a thing.
We're keeping our mouth shut now. But we're always, like I said, man, we're always happy to work on these things and work together with these things and see how we can work with each other. That's the best part. That's
100%. But I like just sharing thoughts, because I know that I'm wired differently and you are too. And it's how we wire. And, you know, if you cross those two together.
Across the wires.
That's
what makes the spark, right? It's putting the two wires together.
Well, literally why we're here doing this podcast, you know what I mean? Like you gave us opportunity to be here, and we're obviously extremely grateful for that. So it's like all these things that come from it, you know, other podcasts, all the other opportunities, like we're here for it, you know.
I look forward to a year from now cutting back to odds from this.
Oh yeah.
And I remember we said this and we did that. So, cool.
A year from now is going to be very insane for the year that we've got coming up for experience. So it'll be really cool to come back and actually watch this.
Yeah.
Excited.
Likewise, on the short term, I'm looking forward to collaborating in New Zealand and providing people a visual, audio, and sensory experience, and getting people to actually touch experience for what it is. And then, like Ivan mentioned, a year from now, seeing what creators you've got on board,
100%.
seeing that, oh no, we didn't pivot towards personal development. Apparently people love weightlifting on our platform. And now we've got all the gym junkies.
Now all the gym experience, yeah.
Who knows? And you don't know, like the market gets to decide, but you don't get to decide. And
I'll call it now. I'll be your number one pole dancer. I was just going to put on a bit more weight.
A bit more. Yeah, just the jiggle there. Bring it in now.
I'll leave Kanji to wrap it up. Any final words for us, brother?
Man, I just want to say thank you for having us. And it's just a pleasure to share these insights, you know, with, you know, both the Web 2, the Web 3, just the general public, right? Because, like, you know, you don't get an opportunity or a chance to be able to share that quite often. And sometimes, you know, you go out, you have conversations and people are like, what is Web 3? What is Web 2? What is the metaverse? And then you get an opportunity to see what you say in the moment as you say it. And, you know, this was a perfect gift of that. So I just want to say thank you. And I'm excited to just see Presence, you know, launched. And, you know, I'm excited for the whole thing that we're all doing to, you know, move towards technology's natural evolution, where, you know, humanity is going to see technology as an extension of what we truly are. So, yeah, that's what I'm really excited for.
Well, thank you for gifting us with your presence and presence.
Pun intended, I love it.
Unintended. Thank you.